Good evening, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project, Magnetic Reversal News, Sacred Geography, Shinrin, Yoku, and Yurt Life, bringing you a grand solar minimum update Friday, November 10th, around 7 p.m. Mountain Time 2023. The seismic crisis on Iceland has kicked it up a notch into exponential territory. There have been thousands of earthquakes over the last 18 hours all over the Reykjanes Ridge here, and we are waiting for an imminent eruption. This is an indicative sign of magma making its way to the surface. Typically, right after these swarms curtail here is when we see the fissure eruption. And we've got eyes on the surface. No lava has broken through today. Many people are evacuating the region as the area of Grindavik in the south of Iceland is waiting for catastrophe. Keep calm. It's boom time. Let's on with weather. Record-breaking snow is blanketing Anchorage. The snowfall the other day broke the daily record by inches. In fact, people in Anchorage, Alaska are digging out from record-breaking snowfall, including 9 inches in just one day. Take a look at some of the snowfall removal going on there and the global warming goodness. Breaking records in Anchorage. Shut up, Al! Get in your hole! Al Gore is not pleased with these records. So heavy, wet snow, it's like Sierra cement because we're nowhere near winter yet. It's still just November 10th. We've got quite a way to go and record-breaking conditions in Alaska. Now, major storminess in the west could snarl pre-Thanksgiving travel, but could also end the wildfire season. And it's a season of pleasing, the end of the burn. A series of storms packed with moisture from the Pacific Ocean will inundate the western U.S., including California, with periods of heavy rain and snow deep into November. A November to remember. A series of storms next week for California.
California is going to get wet next week, and here's how this pattern is going to play out. A trough is going to drive moisture into northern and central California. This is not just one big wallop. It's actually going to be a series of storms that get steered into California that wind up bringing quite a bit of rain, as you're about to see, and also significant snow to the mountains. And you're going to see more of that snow showing up here in a second. The other thing that you're going to be seeing on this map is as the trough builds southward, more of SoCal will see rain from midweek on. The concern, of course, is that the heavy rain could lead to localized flooding, so it's very important to listen out for updates. We want to give you a look at the projected rain and snow totals, but keep in mind these numbers are likely going to change between now and next week. The computer models, they're going to do their thing, and with each run and the rain and snow totals, those are going to be more accurate each day that we get closer to any weather event, not just this one. That's just how it goes.
So basically, we have good news for the high elevations and the global warming goodness, and the lower regions in the burn scars. We're less than 2 weeks away from snow in Philadelphia, according to the models. So buckle up. Philly barely got any snow last year. And 17 years ago, Denver set a heat record on November 8th. But November 8th couldn't be any colder. The November 8th high was 47 degrees in Denver. This is after the record high of 80 set back in 2006. And that is competing with a low temperature set back all the way in 1888 during the Dalton minimum of 12. And we're headed back into those times, folks, with a low temperature of 32. We're getting close.
Caribbean as a spot that could develop into So the Hurricane Center has just designated this kind of weak area of low pressure developing in the Western Caribbean as a spot that could develop into possibly a tropical depression or a tropical storm, but the chances overall are very low. They've got a 20% chance that it could happen in the next 7 days. Now, let's focus on where it could go if it does form, and even if it doesn't form into technically a tropical depression or a tropical storm, it's still going to be a lot of rain for Central America. And these are spots that have had a lot of rain over the last couple of weeks with different systems coming through. So we'll keep you updated as to how this progresses, but for now, expect a lot of rain in Central America.
And the good news there is that the Hurricane Warning Center is not showing any of that tropical activity. We can even go over to our deeper look here at the spaghetti models that are coming out from the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, and they're just showing maybe that potential depression there. So nothing significant for us in the upper 48 as far as the tropical update. Now the full forecast. Heavy rain in the southern plains, rain and high elevation snow in the northwest. A slow-moving front extended from Texas coast through the southern mid-Atlantic will bring rainfall to these areas, including the lower Mississippi Valley. Today through the weekend for coastal Texas, the nexus of the Schmexus, heavy to excessive rainfall will be possible through this evening. Meanwhile, rain, gusty winds, and heavy snow and high elevations is expected across the northwest today through the weekend, and we're going to check that out in just a second here. This is what's lining up for the end of November, and November to remember, this is going to be a massive system. Too far out to really predict. But we can see here that first system moving into the Pacific Northwest, bringing heavy snow. We're talking record tilting numbers to British Columbia. This is going to be moving in through the next few days, through the weekend. Saturday and Sunday will be our fun day. That snow is going to continue all the way to Monday in BC and then taper off. And then a second system, boom, right behind it on Monday is going to add insult to injury, bringing those snow totals up in BC to ridiculous levels. And here we can see the tippy touch starting Wednesday of that system moving into Cali. It's going to bring moisture all the way down to Southern California, all the way down to the Baja with probably some stormy conditions. Take a look at some of the thunderstorm activity down here by the tip. And this is by the end of the week on Friday. That's going to continue to move. And this disturbance in the northeast is going to be bringing a nor'easter and a twirl about here and maybe a bomb cyclone down to 976 here at the end of next weekend. And that'll bring heavy snow to the northeast, the most snow they have seen this season. And what am I talking about? Well, let's take a look at the total snowfall. Holy macaroni. And there's some of the totals there. Those are some of the heavy totals, 16 or more at the ski resorts through November 20th. Boom, look at the Northeast. In the West, the biggest totals are in BC as that system continues to add insult to injury. 81, 52 inches showing through the 21st. But overall, at the end of November, it could be a November to remember with this endgame storm that could be bringing misery from the Mississippi east. Like a beast. Extreme weather pushes global wine production to the lowest level in more than 60 years. And they didn't say global warming or climate change in the title because it's frosts, early frosts that have killed and damaged the grapes. Yes, followed by drought. The early frosts, not the global warming, with heavy rainfall and drought have significantly impacted the output of the world's vineyards. Now, if you've been watching the channel for the last decade, we predicted 8 years ago that it would be drought and deluge and heavy swings, highs and lows that will end crop production. And we're seeing it right here. Grand solar minimum much. We just put it down. Are you picking it up? Seismic update, major activity in Iceland. We're going to get to that in just a moment. Kicking off with a 5 magnitude near Grindavik, unfortunately, and that is a site of evacuation ongoing now. We also had some major activity in Indonesia at least 6 magnitude or greater, and, well, no tsunami coming from that, so that's good news. And let's roll over to worldwide volcano news update. We've got Fuego, Semeru to 14,000 feet, Sangay to 20,000, Liwotolo, 6,000-foot puff and pass. And then that brings us to the Reykjanes Peninsula. Seismic activity has cut roads in the vicinity of Grindavik. Authorities have closed some of the few roads in the area, and the shit is about to get real. Not only that, they've upped the volcano warning to danger. Yes. The volcano warning has been upped to danger, the highest level. And here we can see some of the cut roads in Grindavik. Now, there are very few roads at all in the southern portion of the Reykjanes Peninsula here. So they might be rerouting this road to get people out of harm's way. And what does harm's way mean? Well, there have been thousands of earthquakes in less than 24 hours rumbling beneath the entire Reykjanes Ridge. If we just look under the peninsula itself where the magma is being emplaced, the activity is, well, 98% of that is happening there. And simply because of the massive uplift and the intrusion that's occurring, well, I believe that the eruption is imminent. And here we have a live stream over at all the locations where the uplift is occurring, and still there is no magma on the surface here. It will be coming up in a few hours, and if need be, before I hit the sack, I will go live with the eruption to share it with you. If not, I will join you in the morning. Space Weather News Update. Not only are we waiting for the imminent eruption in Iceland, but we are now all preparing for an Earth-directed eruption in CME that occurred from a plasma filament release while we were gone. Here we can see that activity on loop, and let's just watch it occur. Now, the good news is a lot of this plasma made its way back down to the ground, but there is a halo eruption here we can see on Lascaux that is headed our way, and here we are back on Lascaux again. C3 here. Okay. Didn't really see it on C3. Let's go back there. Nope. So we do have a large coronal mass ejection which occurred, which is showing halo there, which is clearly coming towards us. And let's take a look at what the SWA Enlil spiral has to say about the geomagnetic storm, shall we? So we're looking at a pretty good spike here. There is the coronal mass ejection headed our way. Pretty thick density. No, it's just it looks like a glancing blow to be hitting us between the 11th and the 12th. So the 3-day geomagnetic storm will hold true, and we could be seeing a good Aurora event Saturday night into Sunday morning here. So stay tuned for the boom. It could also arrive early. So those in Europe could be seeing some, over in Scandinavia, could be seeing some early day Aurora, maybe in the afternoon. Stay tuned tomorrow for updates on that space weather, as well as the imminent eruption on Iceland that we're waiting for. Lee and I also have our radio show, 12 noon Mountain Time on Revolution Radio, where we're going to be discussing the Sirius binary potential with Earth as the driver of the Yuga cycle and the cosmic catastrophe clock. So here is the impending CME. Tomorrow, Saturday night into Sunday morning, could be kicking off some more auroras for our pleasure. Now, more space weather news here. Saturn's all-inspiring rings will disappear in 2025. And a lot of people are freaking out about it, but it simply happens because these rings tilt up and down in a cycle. And in fact, it is called this Saturn dance. As Saturn dances in the night sky, its axis tilts, much like the Earth. Now, the planet takes a 29.4 Earth years to complete an orbit around the sun, and it rotates quickly, though, making a day on Saturn only 10.7 Earth hours. But the axial precession takes a little longer. While it is known to scientists that Saturn rings are slowly, as in over the next millions of years, being pulled into the planet's atmosphere, 2025 will be a bit different. Yeah, what do we mean by that? Well, Saturn is transitioning, and as its tilt changes, it will align the edges of the rings directly with Earth. And these rings, which we can now see in this angle, will disappear into a single plane. Because if you're not aware, these rings are about the thickness of a sheet of paper as viewed from Earth. So when we do get along that planar alignment, the rings essentially disappear. And many people will lose their minds, in my opinion. What say you? Are you ready for the rings of Saturn to disappear before your very lives? We are, and we just told you why. Hope you're picking it up. Paleobiotics, or is it paleobionics? A 450 million year old organism finds new life in soft biotics. This is creepy. It's not as creepy as Neuralink, but it approaches it. Researchers in the Department of Mechanical Engineering at Carnegie Mellon University, in collaboration with paleontologists from Spain and Poland, have used fossil evidence to engineer a soft robotic replica of a pleurocystid. Yes, a marine organism that existed nearly 450 million years ago and is believed to be one of the first echinoderms capable of movement using a single muscle. Yeah, and it is less than spectacular and looks, in fact, like a bunch of plastic and a few wires. The pleurocystid fossil above in the top right box is being mimicked by plastic and other shit that are polluting the earth in a scientific attempt to get funding. Biden administration is roasted for offering to pay Americans to send videos of their electric vehicles because only the stupid will comply. And this is beyond parody, but it's actually what occurred. This is what desperation looks like, because the majority of Americans that know about the electric vehicle scam know that you need to pay 70 grand to have a vehicle that lasts less than 10 years that you throw away, which is, the solution to save the planet. And that's a boom to knowledge. Buy your lithium batteries now and throw them in a landfill. It's going to save the planet. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Share this video as we are shadow banned and we need your help to grow. And don't believe the hype. It's a sequel. Bill Gates is an a-hole as well. Shut up, Al! It's one of his friends. Be safe. We love you.